Hi, I'm Jim. I'm a narcissist. I have narcissistic personality disorder. Making these videos for anybody that's just looking to gain information into this disorder. Full disclosure, of course, I am not a licensed counselor, therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist. I am diagnosed with the disorder, so of course this is my experiences. Some of it comes from things I've learned from my own research. Some things I just question and have no way of knowing 100% certain. Other things, of course, information that I gather from my counselor. But figure, if I do have firsthand knowledge, I should definitely pass it on if it could be helpful in any way. So that's why I make these videos. And today's an interesting one because it's not going to be about something I can guarantee. Because again, I don't always know. I mean, you break out the DSM, whatever they're up to these days, and it gives you a list of the symptoms of this disorder. And of course, if you try to do any research into this disorder, it's really all based upon victims. How from a victim perspective, like what should a victim do? How does a victim, how do you identify narcissistic personality disorder? Really, the information doesn't come from the other side, where if you think you may have it or you do have it, right? That's where the information is very limited. And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to, of course, state that as a fact. So when I've done research, I don't know if this is my disorder or it's just me. But I've noticed this is something I do over and over again, and I think there's a huge propensity that it's my disorder, right? Now, with that being said, you do need to acknowledge if you do have or think you have narcissistic personality disorder, or if someone you know or care about does, or you think that they do. There's different types. So, just to give you a frame of reference on my perspective, I have a type that is caused, let me not say it, almost all narcissists and narcissistic personality disorder stem from trauma. Mine comes from survivor's guilt. So the type of narcissistic personality disorder that I have just gives me an incredible sense of lacking of self-worth, self-loathing, right? Really just a complete, anger, hatred, and disdain for myself, right? So I know all narcissistic personality disorder and all narcissism comes from low self-esteem. This is different, right? So I'm not the type of narcissist that tells you how great and amazing I am, right? It's usually the opposite. Very, very low self-esteem, right? Very insecure is the type of NPD that I have. So that's important because, again, I don't know if these characteristics are characteristics of the disorder, if they're characteristics of just me and the type of NPD that I have, or they're just, that's how Jim does, right? And it has nothing to do with it, right? I don't know, but it's worth exploring. So I have noticed I have a tendency to just hear people and understand them. I mean, but to still do like the polar opposite. It's baffling to me. I have a session with my therapist later, and I'm really starting to identify this. And this is a problem area that I don't think I realized just how big of a problem it was. So let me give you an example, all right? So this could be as simple as, my kids tell me something along the lines of, man, I hate hiking. I don't want to hike. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it, right? And here's the thing, and I won't be like, all right, we're going to go do a 20-mile hike tomorrow. But in my mind, I'll be planning vacations, and I was like, oh, I can take the kids and we'll do a 5-mile hike. They don't like it, right? But in my mind, I'm like, oh, but it's only a little hike. No, they don't like it. They don't want to do it. Why do I want to put them through that? And I do this with everybody and everything. I hear them. I understand them, right? And I still do whatever the hell I want. And it's so selfish. It's so not acceptable. So what I need to do is, of course, figure out how to stop doing that. Because that causes huge problems. It makes people feel like you don't care about them. It makes people feel like you don't listen to them, which is the opposite. I care about people. I listen, right? And it's not okay for me to make them feel like that, because that's not how I feel. And what I imagine my therapist and I are going to work on is identifying the triggers, like when this type of situation happens. What I'm probably going to need to do is of course identify that when somebody tells me there's something they don't like, that I need to then just acknowledge, like, and here's where it doesn't make sense. Like, my MPD, my big symptom is I'm black and white, right? I love that one. There's no gray, black and white, right? Black and white. It's all or nothing. I love categorizing things, and there's no exceptions, right? That's a huge one of my symptoms. Why don't I do that with this? They tell me they don't like it, bam, black and white. You don't like it, we don't mess around with that at all. There is no gray. There's no, hey, we can do a short hike. No, black and white. They don't like hiking, don't hike. Right? Common sense. Common sense isn't so common to the narcissist demon, I promise you. That little MPD demon that sits on my shoulder screaming stuff into my ear telling me what to do. He doesn't live in common sense, right? He doesn't use common sense. He doesn't care about common sense. That's where I come in, right? I got to understand that I need to use common sense. And so what I'm going to review with my therapist is identifying things like this. And, when people tell me there's something they don't like, I mean, that's where I kind of have to be like, there's no exceptions, right? There's no trying to bring them over to my side or getting them to do just a little bit. It's, it's got you gotta listen. You gotta respect their emotions, their feelings, and you do that by honoring their wishes. And that's something I'm having a hard time with. That's something that, while my disorder was in control of my life, I was terrible at. Right? That's something I don't want to do anymore at all. That's something I want to change. That's something I need to change for my future to be better than my past, right? I want to build those relationships. I want to build healthy relationships with everybody. Everybody from my family, my friends, right? People I care about, maybe one day, significant other. Build those healthy relationships. And, the people I don't know, the cashier that when I walk into a store, right? The customer service representative, if I call them on the phone, these are people that I don't know, right? I want to listen to them, right? Even though just because they're not going to have a recurring role in my life, doesn't mean I can't be respectful of their wishes, that I can't listen to them. So I want all of those relationships to be different. I want my future to be better than my past, and that's why I have to make those changes. That's why I have to commit to the things that I've done up to this point are not okay, right? Here's a perfect example, and it didn't happen, but what if it did, right? Someone telling you, oh, I'm a vegetarian. Next thing you know, you take them to like one of those Brazilian steakhouses or whatever, where it's all you can eat meat. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, because I wanna go, And I heard what they said, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, but they could get a salad. They get a salad here, like they get a salad anywhere else. But I mean, is that respectful? I mean, did you truly listen and understand what they said and internalize it? Right? Imagine, of course, put ourselves in their shoes. I mean, how would that make us feel? Right? So yeah, I'm gonna work that. I'm gonna talk to my therapist about that, see how he feels about that plan, and that is the new plan I'm going to implement moving forward. As long as I get the okay from him, he is the cognitive behavioral therapist. So this is his area of specialty, changing behaviors, and that's exactly what I want to do. And kind of along the same lines. I've noticed, like, throughout my life, when people tell me they want a gift, like, specifically, I resent them, and I deliberately don't get it. And I don't know why that's always bothered me, but I think it's along the same lines. All right? So people go on Amazon these days and they do their birthday wish list or Mother's Day wish list, or, hey, it's Monday wish list, who knows? I don't know, right? But it makes sense. Especially if it's like a kid's birthday and you're getting a bunch of people getting a bunch of different gifts. You don't want to get the same gift over and over again, So, yeah. And then I noticed, even when I first acknowledged I had this disorder, and I felt like I was doing better. I'll give you an example. I reached out to my son's wife, and I was like, hey, what can I get Tyler for his birthday? She sent me a list of like 2 things. I was like, okay, so I bought those 2, and then I bought something else that I wanted to get him. But here's the thing, like, she gave me that list, right? Like, why did I feel like I had to then go and get something additional? You know what I mean? If you're lucky enough that somebody asks, like, honor that. Listen to them. Internalize it, right? Appreciate, the fact that they're taking the time out to share something that they care about and something that they want. And like I said, even, and definitely if it's like a niece, a nephew, grandkid, really, really, really young. I'm talking like the younger, the more impactful. Anything like less than 10, like I said, maybe they're inviting like 30 people to this birthday party, and they don't, and of course everybody's buying the brand new hit toy that's, coffee mug for the 10-year-old. You don't wind up with 30 coffee mugs for your kid, right? So you go to Amazon and you make the list, and when you send out the invitations, you give everybody the list and go pick your thing off the list. But when you have NPD, it's a challenge. Like, that's not easy to do, right? Our mind doesn't want us to do that. Our mind wants us to be glorified, and that's not fair to the person putting that time, energy, effort, and emotion into it. So we need to be respectful of that. I need to be respectful of that. That's something I've really been challenged with in the past, and and I've failed at pretty horribly and pretty miserably. But here's my new plan moving forward. Here's what I do. So if I ask you, or if you tell me what you want, I have kind of like a set amount in my mind based upon who you are, what I'm going to get you, right, in an amount. Right. So let's say I deem that you're a $100 gift, and you give me 1 or 2 things, and they equal $50. Well, I will buy those, and then of course I will go buy $50 worth of other stuff. Right. So that's what I now do. I keep my amount in my mind, and if you send me, the 1 or the 2 things that equals $100, that's all you get. Right. Got you exactly what you wanted. It was the right amount. But for me, I do want to make sure that the value for the gift that I have in the amount that I associate for that individual gets met, right? because the last thing I want to do is if I value you at a $100 gift, you just send me like a $20 thing and that's just all you get, right? Like that kind of like makes me feel garbage, right? I want to value you at that amount. So that's what I do. And I have done it once. And I asked for feedback. And I made sure, that I included one of those Amazon like gift receipts. So, and I was like, hey, if this is something you already have, you can go ahead and return it, or if it's something you don't like. So it came with the disclaimer, but yeah, I gotta be honest. Like, I don't know how I was missing the bus on this one. Like, somebody telling you what they want and not having to go and shop. That's awesome. that's, that's amazing. That's it. It makes life so easy. Imagine if everything could be like that, right? Why I have it. One of the things I've also done is I've tried to take the people that are really close to me, and ask them if it's okay if I ask questions. So with this disorder, my mind just tells me all kinds. Remember that demon tells me crazy stuff, right? And sometimes we're getting texts, so there's no way of knowing how some of these texts are meant, right? So maybe they meant it joking, but we immediately took it as offensive, right? So maybe you haven't heard from somebody in X amount of time and you think they're mad at you. Like demon screams all kinds of crazy stuff in our ears. So one of the things I've done is I've started asking the people that are close to me, hey, my mind gets away from me with my disorder. If it's okay, I'd like to be able to ask one question. Now, I have to be careful because, of course, I was very badgering in the past, right? Hey, is everything all right? Yeah, it's fine. I don't know. It just seems like you're upset. Are you sure everything's okay? I'm gaslighting, right? The more I ask, the more I'm gaslighting. So that's why I cut myself off at one. And I just asked them, hey, I need you to be straightforward with me. This is really going to be therapeutic. It's really going to help me. If I ask, I need to know I'm getting an honest answer because I'm telling my mind, shut up. This person doesn't lie to me, and this person already answered me. So I'm going to believe them, and I'm not going to believe you. I'm going to crumble you up and put you underneath my foot. You're going to get off my shoulder, right? You're not going to be able to scream stuff at me anymore. And if you do, the more you scream, the more I'm going to tell you you're wrong because I know I'm right because I asked and they answered. So that's one of the things that I do that works like a charm. I still get the voices, and I still get the questions, and I still get the comments from the demon in my ear, but it just makes it so much easier to deal with. And yeah, that's been a great technique for me. But I digress. Going back to the topic at hand. We really want to respect others, and we want to listen to them, and we want them to know they've been heard. And we don't want to mold them into what we want them to be, because that's what NPD wants us to do, right? We want them to be them, and we want to be us. And we want to find a way for those to come together, right? And if there's things they don't like, we got to respect that. And we got to not try to manipulate, by we'll just do a small hike, or, I'll take you to the Brazilian restaurant because they have salads. You know what I mean? So, this is going to go a long way, at least for me, in being able to build better relationships. I think of the past and it's just how many times I monopolized and controlled the things that I did, with friends, families, significant others, right? Always trying to make them like me, not taking an interest in the things that they wanted to, not listening to them. Right? Listen to them. They told me they didn't like it, but that demon just kept telling me that, oh yeah, it's okay. It's not okay. I knew I could do one of these sessions without crying like a baby. Man. And, if you've ever watched any of the other videos where I do cry, thank you for being understanding. Of course, my survivor's guilt, a lot of stuff has been brought out. When you open up some of those windows, some of those doors, it lets out the emotion, and it comes out in weird ways. So I'm definitely a lot more emotional than I normally am. I find myself, expressing and emotion and crying more than I ever have in my entire life. But that's because my therapist and I are doing just such amazing work, with the survivor's guilt, with the NPD demon, right? And like I said, sometimes you open those doors, you open those windows. It's a floodgate, right? And you got to let that flow. You can't close it, right? So thank you. My way of saying thank you is you get one of these without me crying at all, which is very rare. But all joking aside, this is really serious stuff. This is life-changing stuff. I hope you make the commitment to change your life if you have or think you have this disorder. And if you think you know somebody that has this disorder, or you're a victim, my advice is to get out of that relationship, whether it be a friend, family, significant other, no matter what the relationship is. If you can, get out of it immediately. Cease all communication. Don't let them in. They will definitely try to fake future and glory hound and do it and hoover and do whatever they can to get back in. So not all relationships can be severed. I of course bring up if you have a narcissist in the family and you do a big family Christmas or Thanksgiving or something like that, I get that you can, there's going to be situations where you can't sever all relationships, right? But the ones that you can, you need to. If they are a narcissist and they have narcissistic personality disorder, they are abusing you. They're definitely emotionally abusing you, right? All narcissists with narcissistic personality disorder are emotionally abusive. There's a high tendency that they are sexually, financially, and physically abusing you as well. But they're all emotionally abusing you. And the chances that they're going to turn things around are so small, are so minuscule, that you need to imagine it's zero, because that's how small of a chance. It's you can't put your mental and physical health and well-being in jeopardy any longer. And that's why you need to get out of the relationship. And second, they will try to hoover. They will try to fake future. They will try to manipulate their way back in. And that's why you cease all communication. Cut them off, right? There's no, well, it's been a while, I'm sure they're fine now. No. Cut them off completely and never have any interaction again. It is the best thing you can do for your mental, physical health and well-being. And for the narcissists and people with NPD, I hate it, because here's the thing: there's not many of us that acknowledge that we have this disorder, let alone really want change. But the damage that this disorder does to people, I can't in good conscience give anybody any other advice. I can't. That's what that is what an overwhelming majority of counselors, therapists, psychologists, and psychiatrists give as their advice to victims. That is the overwhelming consensus, and that is why that is the approach and the advice that I give. And if it means anything, that's coming from a narcissist with narcissistic personality disorder. And I promise you, there's not a narcissist or a person with narcissistic personality disorder that if you ever sat down and told them someone they loved or cared about. Give you an example. Let's take my sister, right? Love my sister to death. And if you told me that her boyfriend was doing the things to her that I've done to my significant others in the past, I would tell her to leave immediately, cease all communication, and do not ever have contact with him again. That's the harsh reality. If you told me that about my sister, and you told me that he is going to a therapist, and he has acknowledged that he has this disorder, and he wants his future to be better than his past, and he has made amazing progress, I will not change my response at all. I will, at that point, still continue to tell her, you need to get out of that relationship immediately and cease all communication. I don't care how much progress he's made. I don't care how long it's been. I don't care what changes you've seen. I don't care. 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 That is someone I care about. That's someone I love, and their emotional wellness and stability are in jeopardy. And the risk is not worth it, not even close. So that is why I give you that advice. I'll never know the full extent of the damage I've done. Never. I'll probably never come close. With that being said, yeah, I would give anybody that advice, and I still don't even know the half of what I did, half of the damage, half of the trauma I created in other individuals. I have no clue. I'll probably, at best, understand 20, maybe 30% of it. Especially when you start incorporating, the people I didn't know, the yelling at and cursing at customer service representatives and things like that. There's no way of me to have any idea of what I did to their day, to their psyche, after the situation was over. I have no idea. I'm sure there is never going to be a scenario or a situation where any of my significant others, could ever tell me everything that I did, or the impact my actions had. I'll share a story that eats my soul alive. So my ex told me that she had tried dating, and she had a panic attack because she had invited a guy over for dinner. And the panic attack wasn't, she was concerned, whether or not they were going to be a good fit, or, normal things you should be concerned about, right? Oh, is he going to like my cooking? Oh, do I look good, right? Oh, are we a match? Things like that. No, she had a panic attack because I had emotionally abused her so bad that she was afraid to open to anyone else. And that's only part of what, that's a little bit of what she told me. That's a little glimpse. That's the kind of damage this disorder does. And that's why, if you are the other person, you get out of that relationship, whether it is friend, family, significant other, no matter what, you get out of that relationship and you cease all communication. That's why. That's why. That's the damage we do. Oh, and I thought I was getting through without crying. I might have to journal that I failed at making it through one of these without crying. Hope this was helpful in any way, shape, or form, right? And for you out there with this disorder, like I always say, first you got to acknowledge you have the disorder, right? You got to truly accept it. You got to get a therapist. You got to be willing to receive that therapist's information, right? You got to want change. You got to want your future to be better than your past. And you got to work hard. You got to work hard. I journal. right? I use affirmations, right? But you got to work hard.